Hello, and welcome back to another episode of NeoEnglish, the podcast where we help you learn practical English for talking about news and current events.
Hi everyone. In today's lesson, we'll talk about a news story from CNBC. The headline is, Stock futures are little changed as traders brace for Fed's preferred inflation reading.
Don't worry if this sounds a little confusing right now. We're going to explain every part clearly and slowly. Let's begin with a simple summary of the story.
All right, so here's what's happening. Investors in the United States are waiting to see a new report on inflation. This report is called the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index. That's a long name, right?
Yes, it is. Let's just call it the PCE Price Index for short. This report shows how much prices for things people buy every day are going up. And that tells us how much inflation there is.
Exactly. Inflation means when prices go up. For example, if last year a bottle of milk cost $2 and now it costs $2.50, that's inflation. Or if you pay more for clothes or food now than last year, that's also inflation.
Good examples. Now, U.S. stock futures were almost flat on Friday. That means they didn't go up or down much. That's what the headline says. Stock futures are little changed.
Let's pause and explain some vocabulary.
Great idea. First word, futures. In finance, futures are contracts to buy or sell something later at a set price. Kind of like saying, I'll buy it next week at today's price.
Right. One example is a farmer selling wheat futures. He agrees to sell his wheat in the future at a certain price. Another example is someone buying oil futures. They agree to buy oil next month, no matter what happens. It helps investors plan ahead.
Next phrase, little changed. That means that something moved a tiny bit. It almost stayed the same. For example, my weight is little changed from last month. Or traffic is little changed even though it's raining.
So when we say stock futures are little changed, it means there is no big news yet. They're waiting for something important.
And that something is the report we mentioned about inflation. This is important to the federal. What's the Fed?
The Fed is short for the Federal Reserve. It's the central bank of the United States. They control interest rates and try to keep prices stable.
So when this inflation report comes out, the Fed will look at it and decide, should we raise interest rates or not?
Yes, when inflation is high, the Fed often raises interest rates. That means borrowing money becomes more expensive, and people spend less. When people spend less, prices can go down.
And that's why investors are watching the PCE price index, because it affects what the Fed does, and that can move the stock market.
There's also another part in the article. Investors grappled with ongoing tariff uncertainty. Let's explain that.
Sure, to grapple with means to struggle with something or try to deal with it. For example, she is grappling with a difficult decision, or the country is grappling with high prices.
And tariff means a tax on goods that come from another country. Like if the US puts a tariff on cars from Europe, people will pay more for those cars.
And ongoing tariff uncertainty means they don't know yet if new tariffs will happen or not. That makes investors nervous.
So let's put it all together. The stock futures didn't move much today. Investors are waiting for a new inflation report, the PCE price index, to see how fast prices are rising. They are also unsure about tariffs, which could make goods more expensive.
And now, let's recap the vocabulary.
First, futures, agreements to buy or sell something in the future at a fixed price.
Next, little change, staying almost the same, not moving much.
Then inflation, when prices go up over time.
Fourth, the Fed, short for Federal Reserve, the central bank of the USA.
Next, grapple with, to deal with or try to fix something difficult.
And finally, tariff, a tax on products coming from another country.
To help you remember, let's try a short story using all the vocabulary.
Imagine Rosa is an investor. She sees that the stock futures are little changed today. She's grappling with a decision. Should she buy or wait? The Fed will soon check the new PCE report, and if inflation is high, they might raise interest rates. Rosa is also concerned about the new tariffs on imported goods. With all this uncertainty, she decides to wait and watch.
Good story. And it uses all the important words. We hope this helped you understand a bit more about economic news in English.
If you found today's episode useful, share it with your friends who are also learning English.
Thanks for listening to NeoEnglish. See you next time for more news and more English.
Bye for now.